Strange sightings of the unknown and creatures that defy explanation. Peer into the unexplained. The Hush Hush Society presents Cryptid Chronicles.
Gentlemen, it's nice to be back in the woods of southwestern Connecticut.
Yeah, getting a little brisk out here. Frank, throw another log on that fire, baby.
Sliggity friggity Frank Sanders here. I will toss a log. At your command, sir.
Throw another log on the fire.
Yes, sire.
Right away, sir.
Fellows, we're just waiting for our friend Niko to join us tonight to chat about a cryptid that maybe you have heard of. The Melon Heads. Oh, there he is now. Stumbling through the woods. Watch out for that stick.
Watch out for that tree.
Hey guys, I'm Nocturnal Niko.
Hey, how you doing, yo?
Dude? This dude just came out of the shadows.
Creeping out the cut. Toss me a beer.
Hello, Niko. Welcome to the fire.
Thank you for summoning to me for the secret council. Are we destroying the rings of power?
We're not a
No.
cult.
We're drinking beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not a cult. We swear.
We're drinking Kool-Aid. I mean beer. Beer. We're drinking beer. Yeah.
Here, you
beer.
want one?
Sure.
Comes in this fine little plastic cup.
First sip's rough.
Fruit punch flavored. Interesting.
Yeah. Just got to do it all in one go.
Speaking of fruit punch flavored, I was at the store today, and it was a Rocket Pop hard seltzer.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It just sounded awful.
They did a Rocket Pop beer, too.
Oh, was that Alvarium?
Yep. Right up the street. Shout out CT.
Well, we're in CT right now. And guess what? My dad actually scared the living shit out of me with a story when I was a child about these. And during Boy Scouts, he used to tell me when I went to like camp and slept in a canvas tent with bug nets and had giant spiders crawling on the it was terrible. And he used to tell me about these these creatures that would come and basically, if I didn't have the bug net set up right or anything like that, that they would just take me into the woods and eat me.
Ooh.
So, shout out, Dale.
All
my
that
God.
that bug net protected you like that?
And he said it was a Connecticut thing. So he's like, yeah, he called them lemon heads, and he would say, yeah, the lemon heads are gonna get you, which actually got me away from that candy, lemon heads. I was like, nah, dude, I'm never touching that shit ever, because my dad was like, yeah, the lemon heads are gonna eat you, and he told me that they were bulbous headed short people that just ate you. Pygmies.
The little people. Hobbits.
The bug net would only assist in their capture of you.
Yeah. They just set you up in a net.
Well, that one was easy, Jim.
This dude put himself in the net.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
In the American folklore of Ohio, Michigan, and Connecticut, melonheads are beings generally described as small humanoids with big old bulbous heads who occasionally emerge from hiding places to attack people. Different variations of the legend attribute different origins to the entities.
And they are Connecticut born and raised, boys. Ooh.
I hate
Welcome
it here.
to the suck. There's so many variations to the Melonhead legend also. And it's mostly through southwest Connecticut. That's where Dave's from. Isn't that where you're from? Southwest? That would be southwest, right?
I was born in Danbury. Yeah.
That's pretty southwest, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Southside.
that answers the question. Cool.
So you guys are all from Connecticut?
Oh,
original.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a terrible.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Connecticut as well, in Hartford.
Really?
Hey.
No shit.
You said
Small
Hartford,
world.
right?
Yeah.
It's surprising how many people actually are from Connecticut that I've met.
My father said I looked like a melon head when I was born.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, it makes sense. It was in Connecticut.
It all lines up.
It all lines up.
Maybe it's just like a term, because if you ask anybody out here, like a Californian, they're like, the candy? And we're like, no.
Well, realistically, how many people are well versed in cryptids in general?
Let alone ones from Connecticut, Ohio, and Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I feel like Michigan's a little bit of a hot spot, but Connecticut and Ohio, I don't know.
People don't even know where Connecticut is.
Do you guys ever just slip in cryptids into like casual conversation with strangers? Like it's really fun to try to do that.
I did just today, kind of.
I use it as pillow talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just earlier today. Hey, babe. Just come over here and check out this Bigfoot.
If I'm ever out sitting at a bar or anything like that, and somebody wants to talk to me about sports or like, not that I'm not into sports, anybody wants to start talking to me about, yeah, this game could go a little bit better. I'm just like, have you ever heard of the bunny yip? You know? They just shut the fuck up instantly.
No, my neighbor is a electrician, and I was talking to him the other day, and he's just like talking about some stuff. And I was like, so how many haunted buildings have you gone into and like, you know, redone the electricity? And he just kind of looked at me. He gave me that fluoride stare.
Right.
And I was like,
The fluoride stare.
And I was like, never mind. He's like, no, I believe in all that stuff. And I was like, okay.
I believe. So how many people in your immediate life do you think are true believers of paranormal and cryptids, like specifically? Just paranormal and cryptids.
5.
Yeah, probably like maybe 6 to 10 tops.
Does that include 2 of the people in this?
That's what I'm saying.
That includes the
fire.
3 of you, yeah. So
Yeah, it's about the same for me. You know, my parents, they definitely believe in like the paranormal, like spiritual stuff. Cryptids, you know, they're on the fence. My brother's pretty well versed in things. I don't know how much of a believer he is. I know he's had experiences, but yeah, it's a small circle, you know? It's hard to
Kind of makes you an outcast, you know?
yeah, a little bit of a black sheep.
As a matter of fact, in eastern Fairfield County, many tales can be found in communities such as Trumbull, Shelton, Monroe, Easton, and Weston, all of the lovely Connecticut places. In western and central New Haven County, tales can be found in towns like Seymour, Oxford, Milford, more lovely Connecticut places, you guys. Come on, you know.
We have so many Ford names.
lots of Fords. Fords and berries, man, is like, and tons.
Tons.
Tons of Fords full of berries.
There's also like, well, Milford. We've had some good times in Milford, Mike. Right?
There's no MILFs in Milford.
What was that bar that we used to go to, Mike? In
The Seven Seas.
the Seven Seas.
The Irish bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out that weird ass community down there.
Fuck.
Milford gets down.
Yeah, crazy. It's like Bristol, but on the shore, but not as weird.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Milford's
complaining. Yeah. There's also Southbury, which we talk about, and I grew up a town over from Southbury. Hushlings, if you don't know where Southbury, Connecticut is, Sandy Hook. Just put it there.
Jeez.
The
Wow.
Same.
That went dark.
Wow.
It's the same new town in Southbury or
Can't
next
believe
door
it
to
just
each other.
brought up that fictional town.
Seriously.
We'll get there.
Will we?
Will we? Are there
I'd rather
roads
we
that
don't.
lead there?
I think we're probably gonna have to do a false flag episode at some
I
point.
don't know.
We're gonna have to.
According to one variation of the myth, in Fairfield County was the location of an asylum for the criminally insane that burned down in the fall of 1960,
I
which
remember
resulted... Do you? You were there? You do not remember that. Bullshit.
Sasquatch is everywhere, motherfucker.
They lived to 165 years old.
Time is an illusion.
Yeah, time ain't real.
Only back pain exists. This tragic fire resulted in the death of all of the staff and most of the patients, ultimately leaving 10 to 20 inmates and or patients unaccounted for, supposedly having survived and escaped into the woods.
The Melon Heads' appearance is a result of having them resorted to cannibalism, allegedly, in order to survive the harsh winters of New England, and inbreeding, which in turn caused them to develop hydrocephalus. And hydrocephalus is a condition in which an accumulation of cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF,
Water on the brain.
within the brain. Yeah, so fluid in your dome piece.
Oh my god. Soupy noggin boy. So you're telling me if you look up at this picture up at the top of the document here, that's from cannibalism and fucking inbreeding? That's
Yeah.
what that causes?
Yep.
That's what you turn into?
And how are they inbreeding?
How were they inbreeding?
That's my question. Like, is it a couple generations down that they ended up looking like this? These inebriated little monsters.
Was it a unisex asylum as well? That's interesting to think about.
Did they let the criminally insane intermingle and have like, oh, today is the day where you guys are allowed to touch tips?
Well, no, but they escaped. They escaped and they fucked and they ate each other.
They butt babies.
So were they praying mantis?
babies.
How do you decide who to fuck and who to eat, though?
You fuck then eat. Like
yeah,
praying
but
mantis.
no, but who? Oh, that's terrible.
Well, I mean that seems to be to keep the population regulated. You fuck then eat.
What if you fuck while you're eating?
That's like
That's just
species.
gluttonous.
I think
Yeah.
that's called BDSM. I could be
Well,
It's
wrong.
living life to the fullest.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of this Seinfeld episode where George figures out that he can hide food in the bedroom. He's under the covers, and they're messing around, and he pops his head out and takes a ham sandwich out of the dresser drawer and takes a bite and then goes back underneath the covers. That man was before his time. So hydrocephalus, it typically causes a pressure inside the skull, which gets that bulbous shape. Older people may experience headaches, double vision, poor balance, diarrhea, urinary incontinence, death,
this from WebMD?
personality changes,
Personality changes.
erectile dysfunction. In babies, it may be seen as
Oh,
a rapid increase in head size,
Ooh,
and it causes erectile dysfunction in babies.
as well.
shut the fuck up.
Good to know. Good to know. Other symptoms may include vomiting, sleepiness, seizures, and downward pointing of the eye.
Why is that funny? That's not funny. That's a serious.
It's like one of those terrible commercials for some sort of pharmaceutical.
Just think about it. Like we're sitting here around a campfire in the woods. Imagine if a little tiny gray bulbous-headed downward-eyed motherfucker came running at you. You're shook. You're not laughing. You're not laughing anymore. Now you're scared.
No, it got
True,
real. It
true.
got way too real.
Now it's real,
You can't even look him in the eyes. As a matter of fact, guys,
guys.
some versions substitute the asylum or the prison with places of business or campgrounds and the inmates with employees.
So the legend goes that it's an asylum or prison escaped inmates or patients, but in reality, it's the family campground, and it's one of the staffers over there with a big fucked up head.
According to the second variation, the Melon Heads are descendants of a colonial area family from Shelton Trumbull, Hicks, who were
course they were.
banished after accusations of witchcraft were made against them, causing them to retreat in the woods. Cowards.
So first they're inmates, then they're camp counselors, now they're witches.
No. Witchcraft made them that way.
Oh, yeah. See, accusations of witchcraft were made against them.
So these folks lived in towns in Shelton or Trumbull, wherever the hell you were in southern portion of Connecticut, and they were scolded for witchcraft, kind of like what we talked about in our episode where it turned into this mass hysteria point, and they decided to take their giant light bulb headed kids into the fucking woods and just hide there because, oh, well, witchcraft, when their kids might have actually maybe been suffering from this condition.
What kind of camp do you think that guy?
Definitely the YMCA.
YMCA? like what sort of YMCA camp?
All of them.
Whatever camp allows the camp counselors to wear those short shorts from like the 70s.
Do you see what point I'm trying to make here or no? No?
Maybe it's a Boy Scout camp where there's bulbous-headed camp counselors that make sure you stay in your tent. Everybody looks like a gray alien.
Could be. Maybe they set up a special camp for kids with hydrocephalus.
In Shelton Trumbull.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Shelton fucking Trumbull.
Maybe they're hybrids, little gray hybrids.
They could be little hybrids.
Right. Hydrocephalus, hybrid. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Remember the Meriden Mall? Remember,
Terrible mall.
if you go to the terrible mall, yeah. If you go, Trumbull's just as bad. If you go to the top of the parking garage, the outdoor parking structure, there is an insane asylum that you can see. It has like this big atrium, really interesting place. The only way to get to it is to walk up to it, which I've done once.
I have a story about that insane asylum. So I actually tended to that area of land for a little bit while I was landscaping. They had that place as a one of their contracts, so I would go there and weed whack and lawn mow. And I explored the woods a little bit, and you'd find the weird, concrete staircase out in the middle of the woods that would go to nothing. And my coworkers would say that they would see people looking out the windows, but there was never anybody there, and people would say that it was haunted. My brother-in-law actually got into flying stunt drones and stuff, and he was looking for cool abandoned places to fly his stunt drones. So he ended up going to this place, probably trespassing. That same insane asylum, he was standing out in the gravel, flying his drone around, and there's this big field clearing, and he flew over it, and he saw somebody standing out in the middle of that field. And his stunt drone, he has to wear like a headset. It's like a VR goggle sort of thing, and there's a GoPro attached to the drone, so he's seeing the live feed from the GoPro through his headset. And he saw somebody in the field, and he does a 180 with his drone, and that person's still standing, still in the middle of the field. And he brings his drone back to him. He takes off his headset. He goes into the middle of the field because there shouldn't have been anybody there, and the person was fucking gone. Just gone.
Of course, when we're talking about this other variation of the Melon Head story, it goes along with the same things that we talked about with the first variation, and them being results of inbreeding. Brothers and sisters, gather round.
You know what? I was rewatching the X-Files, and there is one episode. I know you guys do like X-Files stuff.
Bro, I already know the episode you're going to say.
Yep, and that is the only one that has disturbed me to the core. Like, I can't rewatch it, and it's just like...
Where the mother is under the bed on some woolly thing.
Do we know what season that is?
Season 4, episode 2.
You'll be there on our watch party for that.
He knows exactly which one.
I can't wait. No, definitely jump in. We're going to start
I won't rewatch that.
our weekly watch parties for the X-Files on Discord. So
Yeah, I'll skip that one. Every other one I'll show up to, but that one just...
Yeah,
that was weird, man.
That was a messed up episode. That was one of those episodes that, like, they don't even do reruns of anymore.
Right, I think it's like banned to do rerun on whatever channel they show that on now. But yeah, so I don't know, man. The inbreeding stuff, like I grew up in Saugerties, New York, so I'm pretty sure a lot of the people I graduated with were inbred, and it's
Oh shit!
it's pretty messed up. But yeah, I don't know. Does it cause people to turn into cannibals? Like, and
I think it causes people to do some wacky shit. It could definitely mess with your brain and the way that you think, and
well, it definitely messes with physical genetics.
Right. So this is what I'm confused about, because everything I've heard about with the lemon heads melon heads is that they're tiny. So are some of these not like tiny little like dwarf like figures, or?
No, they come in numbers like duende.
Do they roll
With their big dongs?
Yeah, with their giant dongs, they slap you in the shoulder.
What's it gotta be like that?
How
Just put
big,
the colander
how big
out.
are they supposed to be?
Just about as big as their head.
Their circumference is their height.
Yeah,
Their circumference
little
is their
fucking
height.
chode thing.
No, I mean they're supposed to have like regular bodies.
Regular dicks.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like normal sized dicks, and then no, regular bodies, but their heads are like abnormally. Like take your head and put a like a regular sized average family barbecue beach ball in your fucking head.
You had some cool barbecues growing up from the sounds of it.
You keep talking about these dope ass barbecues.
Pizza, hot dogs, all that shit.
Oh, fuck.
Anyways, the Melon Heads of Connecticut. These legends all have one characteristic in common, and that is their locale to a secluded, rustic, and usually a single-lane dirt road running right into their kingdom of big fucking heads.
One thing we don't talk about in this, but I think should be mentioned, is Pygmy Village. You, at least Mike and...
The Pygmy Village.
Yeah, Mike and Frankie should be well adversed of Pygmy Village in Connecticut.
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, they didn't have giant heads, though. They were just supposed to be little people that fucked you up. And wasn't there like a place? Was it in Bristol? Is it in Bristol or Plainville? Where you can? Is it Plainville where they have like the tiny houses?
Yep, that's.
And they're
Plainville.
not like sheds like you buy at Home Depot converted. They're like tiny.
They're little houses.
Yeah, it's like Whoville. It's
Like
crazy.
dollhouses?
I haven't been up there. I'm scared.
Yeah, it's been a while since I used to drive by it all the time. I forget why. As we know, Fairfield County and New Haven County have significantly rural areas, like Mike said. And it's not uncommon for these forests to have these little single-lane routes or roads, some of them being dirt, which is hillbilly as fuck. And melon heads allegedly prey upon humans who wander onto those dirt roads. I don't know why in 2022 you're just like, let me go for a stroll on this creepy-ass road. They would bite or consume whoever enters their territory because of the paranoia of people seeing their society, their giant fucking domes, and the fact that they kill and cannibalize each other. So they eat people as well. They just do the same thing.
You say, why in 2022 would anybody go and do that? And I was going to propose that, Dave, I'd love to invite you, but you're across the country. Me and Mike should definitely go and try to hunt these things down on Facebook Live.
I think so.
While we wear GoPros, right?
Yeah.
Can you hook up a GoPro to Facebook Live?
What was the show that was on MTV where they used to go into haunted places and they wore like those cameras that would face them?
Oh yeah. And it was like part of a challenge. They like had.
Yeah. What was? Do you remember the name of that show?
I don't remember. I remember the premise of it. Yeah, they wore those. They wore the vests.
Fear.
Yep, that was it.
Fear. It was a 2-year series from 2000 to 2002. They did one in Connecticut. I think they did Fairfield Hills, actually. And it was like basically watching an MTV version of the Blair Witch Project, which basically was an MTV movie at that point.
Oh my God.
That's fine cinema right there.
Yeah.
I never understood how that movie got such
People so scared.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Maybe it's because you grew up with the woods being like that so close to your fucking house.
Could be.
Could be. It's the Melon Heads, friends.
In a number of towns such as Shelton, Trumbull, and Monroe, hence the mysterious and mythical street referred to as Dracula Drive,
Oh shit.
none of the towns that have a Melon Head legend have roads designated as Dracula Drive. Some other roads mistakenly referred to as Dracula Drive include Edmonds Road in Oxford, or Velvet Street in Trumbull and Monroe.
And since I lived in Milford, Milford also has Zion Hill Road. And the roads around Lake Mohegan in Fairfield, which is also a rural and secluded place, and Marginal Road in New Haven, Gunwaven.
Best pizza on earth. Hushlings.
Probably not.
Oh no, it's true.
Oh, it is.
It's
It
true.
is.
On Earth?
On Earth.
Yeah, bro.
On earth.
Yeah, bro.
Probably not.
Probably.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. We'll fight all the Italians.
Yeah, it's fucking ricotta, not rigot.
Regot.
There's also Jeremy Swamp Road in Southbury. I know exactly where that is. It's not too far off from do I dare say it?
What?
Jeremy Swamp Road. That doesn't sound sketchy at all.
No,
San
no.
Diego. So,
Jeremy Swamp Ass Road.
there's also paths and roads around Roosevelt Forest in Stratford. So there's a plethora of places in Connecticut where they have been donned Dracula Drive. But why would they call it Dracula Drive? Is it because of the cannibalism?
Yeah, the blood drinking.
There is a street that's pretty close to where a place I lived in Woodbury, Connecticut, called Transylvania Ave, and it is a creepy ass fucking street.
Isn't that where the Munsters lived?
Yeah, who names these streets?
Ned Lamont.
Ned Lamont.
A lot of the inspiration for a number of the different versions of Melon Heads also may be attributed to the local surroundings, as we said. Central Fairfield County is home of the now defunct Fairfield Hills, as Dave just mentioned. The mental hospital there, as well as Garner Correctional Institution, which correctional institutions usually have really bad juju anyways, and those are both located in Newtown,
City.
as well as the Federal Correction Institution, which is located in Danbury.
Which is like a town over.
Yeah.
It's like 2 towns over.
There's a lot of fucking prisons in this small ass state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over time, this overlapping of the game of telephone may have allowed the cross contribution of elements to each other. Similar legends may include the Danbury Frog people.
You ever seen a frog kid before?
Gay frogs.
A frog kid.
Connecticut's turning all the frogs gay.
There's also the faceless people of Monroe.
What?
I've never heard of that.
The Mongoloid Village, which is very popular in New Haven County.
Yeah, it is New Haven.
Yeah.
It's a little bigger than a village, but it's filled with mongoloids.
Well, if you guys want to really get down to the nitty-gritty, there's also the Melungian, a tribe of isolated Appalachian mountain people. See, more inbreeding. That live in the southeastern United States, Tennessee, Kentucky, or Virginia. It's inbred county right there.
The Melungians?
No, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tennessee,
what?
Kentucky, Virginia.
These folks are thought to be a mixed race of offspring of European misfits, liberated slaves, and Native Americans. In a sense, the damned of the early American civilization.
And as a matter of fact, it's occasionally mistranslated as Melonhead. There was once a tribe of people living quietly and independently in the backwoods of Connecticut, Hicks, who exhibited Melungian-like features and possibly mistaken as such.
Before we move on, Niko, since you're kind of in the vicinity, your podcast is Upstate Unconventional. Clearly, Hushlings, if you don't know geography, then it's upstate New York. Have you heard anything like this in your neck of the woods, per se?
Nothing with Melon Heads specifically. The Hudson Valley, they have like a lot of UFO activity. Whitley Strieber had his encounter. Not too.
I'm rereading Communion right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to go try to figure out where that was. I don't know exactly where the cabin is, but I have a rough idea of the area. But going off of like little people, this is a crazy story my wife had. There's a a natural spring up here. I'm sure people have heard of it, Saratoga Springs. You can buy like the Saratoga water and everything. But we go there and we get like natural spring water. But a few years before I met my wife, she was up there, and she swears on her life that she saw this. She was like walking by one of these little streams, and she just kind of caught out of the corner of her eye and looked. And she swears there was little gnomes and like fairies and stuff like dancing around in this like little stream. And then when she like double took it, like they all disappeared. But I've heard a lot of stuff like that in that area, like strange little fairy-like creatures and stuff like that. But it's, I don't know, this whole East Coast is such a weird area, you know.
That's true.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the East Coast.
There's quite a bit of cryptid activity in the woods of the Northeast. Yeah, especially the Northeast and the Southeast too. I mean, you have the skunk ape. So moving on from our neck in the woods, we have the Melon Heads of Michigan, and they are said to reside around a place called Felt Mansion, which is a house located at 66th Street and 138th Avenue in Laketown Township, Michigan.
Yeah, they've also reported seeing them in southern forested areas of Ottawa County.
Is that Ottawa County, Michigan, or is that Ottawa County in
so.
Ottawa, Canada?
I would assume it's Michigan, since we were just talking about Michigan.
Yeah. I mean, they're right next to each other, you know. They are neighbors. Yeah. According to the story, they were originally children, again, with the same condition we talked about, hydrocephalus.
The story explains that after enduring the physical and emotional abuse, they became feral and disgusting creatures and were released into the forest surrounding the asylum. And the Allegan County Historical Society claims that the asylum never even existed, although it was at one point a prison.
So they just let them out, like opening like a cat door.
Be free.
And they're all like, to just run out.
But this is interesting, though. You know, like you have like 3 different. I don't know if Ohio has the insane asylum too, but you have an asylum story with little melon heads running around. Like, I don't know. You know, like one time, okay, maybe it's a coincidence or whatever, but like you get 3 different stories from 3 relatively different areas of the country. Maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe there was like this weird, like, because what time did all these stories take place? I'm pretty sure like Michigan and Ohio were back in like the 20s and 30s, right? When these
it was quite some time ago. Yeah.
So it just makes you wonder, like, was there some type of like mutated type?
I mean, we didn't realize until probably really the maybe 70s, maybe definitely 80s, but most definitely the 90s. We didn't realize certain conditions of the human body or brain or chemical makeup was either a mental illness or a disability. Other than that, they would just be like, oh, well, this person's dome is huge, let's bloodlet it, you know? or let's just throw it out in the woods and see what happens. Some of these weird cryptid sightings of these bulbous-headed creatures, there are other cryptids that kind of resemble this. So we have talked about in the past of experiments that might have escaped. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they were in an insane asylum, could they have ran experiments on these people? Or, because I can't fathom all of these people or a population of people with the same physical deformity living in just one hospital, unless these were the 3 places in the country where they treated this. I don't know.
It's actually kind of common in the 20s, 30s, up until even the 80s, where families that had children who had physical deformities and even mental incapacities would put them into these institutions and pretty much forget about them. So it's not far off to think that there was some sort of family, you know, or group of families that had children that had hydrocephalus or some other, disease that causes that enlargement of the skull, to take their children and put them into these institutions. And maybe these institutions on the East Coast were the only ones that were accepting those children, or were willing to take them on.
But if you're admitting your child into a facility like this, you would have to pay for it, right? You're not just...
Nah, just set it and forget it.
It's a one-time fee. You leave the frog kid at the place.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily. A lot of that was undertaken by like state funding, things of that nature. Families would sign away the rights to their children. They no longer want them. And a lot of these institutions, in order to get their funding, would take as many of these patients in as they possibly could, just to rack up that state funding that it would provide. So the more patients that you had, the more funding that you had coming in from, the state and local governments.
And if they're running experiments, I wouldn't be surprised if they like paid the parents,
Yeah.
as test subjects and stuff. Hey, we'll take your melon head and we're gonna run a few little tests on them.
Do you think, a really out of the box question, maybe it's not too out of the box, but do you think that they may have been taking these children, experimenting on them, giving them these bulbous heads and these weird appearances, and then sending them out, maybe the government sending them out as like gray aliens to be doing said abductions? I don't know. Kind of
It makes you
Always
wonder.
leading back to the aliens.
Well, you hear about these like human animal hybrid things that in these like deep underground bunkers and stuff like that, and it's not that far off. I mean, it's really, I think everything is a conspiracy, and I look into everything. I wouldn't be surprised if you get some kids, because hydrocephalus isn't like that uncommon. I think it's like 1 out of every 700 kids has it.
Is it that common?
I think that's what I looked up.
It's pretty common. Jeez.
Yeah, it's really like not. I don't think it's as severe with most people. You know what I mean? Like the big bulbous heads and stuff. But I think it's a fairly common thing. And if this is back in the 20s and 30s, when medical treatment wasn't as good, I guess, during childbirth or whatnot.
Yeah.
I could see it, and just we're gonna take these kids, and who knows? I mean, it's interesting, but a lot of these like melon head stories is they're very like animalistic. They have sharp fangs. They're kind of like feral, as they say. Who knows?
Yeah.
Unless it's just a lost tribe of people.
To go along with how they would act, a lot of, especially people that had cognitive disabilities or learning disabilities, Down syndrome, anything like that, they would be put into institutions, and obviously those institutions wouldn't treat them correctly, locking them in dark rooms for all day, not interacting with them. They would just sit in darkness, windowless rooms for pretty much their entire existence and just be shut away. If any of these institutionalized individuals, children or young adults that had been a part of these buildings and a part of these hospitals were all of a sudden to be let go